Hey everybody, it's Ian here. Welcome back to my channel, and you are watching Video Lessons, a series of videos with tips on how to make comics. As you know, I am the artist on this graphic novel, The Rookie, but if you want to know more about The Rookie, let's look a little bit more inside it. That was cool, huh? Well, if you're watching from my blog, if you want to watch the trailer again, there is the link or an embedded video from YouTube on the, if you scroll down a little bit. But today we are not talking about The Rookie, we are actually talking about So let's talk inspiration. Where do you get inspiration when you first start out making comics? Well, when I started out making comics, I actually had these two very old comics. They probably date back to 70s or 80s, but they're called The Adventures of Tintin, and they're about a news reporter who has all sorts of adventures with his captain friend and his dog, and sometimes one of his allies too. But there are many of these books in the Tintin series, and they're all separate stories, except a few of them they're linked together, but they will tell you if they're linked. And they're great stories. They actually have great images inside of them, and I just got this one actually, but when I first started out making comics, I had this one, and it was very old. See the paper, it's still the hand lettered version of the book. This is actually in print. So that started me out in making comics. But when I first read it, I was like, wow, comics, I didn't know comics actually looked that way. But so that sort of set me off on my way, but that was my inspiration for starting, and then it led for me to making these two comics. This one's called Rookie, as you've seen in the trailer, and this one's called Hostage, which I released in July of 2017. Another of my references was actually reference books, like this IKEA catalog, where there's all these kitchen layouts, and I could put these in. But I also had reference from these Star Wars fan decks. They're actually quite rare, but it's like a fan of Star Wars reference, all sorts of pictures from Star Wars. And when I was working on the book of the Hostage, I actually wanted to look kind of Star Warsy, like dark fashion, but in the end it didn't work out, so I decided to use another reference. So I learned at comicsforbeginners.com that it is great if you have some reference of some kind, but it is also great if you can draw from life. So that's one of the lessons learned from www.comicsforbeginners.com. If you go there, there's tons of great stuff about making comics, way better than this video lessons. But another thing, when you're actually sketching your real actual pages of your comic, you should keep a sketchbook where you actually sketch all your characters down. And this is the sketches for Hostage. You can it's sort of like a design manual sort of thing, where you can keep these important images that are in your head you can draw it down into onto paper, so you won't have an image in your mind that you might that there is very possible that you will forget. So drawing down these images from Hostage that I was going to draw is very helpful. One of the most important references when you're making a comic is to look at other comics. So if you're making a comic, you should see the comic so that you can take references from. Not necessarily one comic. It's great if you have like one or two comics that you can take references from, but that would probably make your comic a bit too obvious that you're copying this one thing. Like if you're copying Star Wars and you draw a Jedi cape, take capes from every single comic you can find about capes, and otherwise people would think that you're copying Star Wars way too much. But if you take it from different references, then it will not be as obvious, and people will say, hey, you're copying Star Wars, and you can say, no, I also copied a whole bunch of other stuff. So yeah, that's another great reference. So that's my tips on reference and inspiration. And if you're wondering, is there more to inspiration, you can go to comicsforbeginners.com, where there's a podcast or a video called How to Draw Everything, and that will take you through the whole process of stealing something from another media and inspiration and reference. Thanks for watching.